Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jamie. Just wanted to very quickly go over the case of Brandon Raub, I think. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce the R-A-U-B, but I want to talk about this really quick because it's scary. What happened to this man is downright scary because what happened was government agents and police saw his Facebook posts, which were set to public from what I read and looked up. And by reading those posts, they saw that he was upset with the government. He was talking about things how, the United States government's been taken over by banks and is run by people that want to enslave us. He's pretty much on the money. But in any case, his posts were, mostly about, things that are not of any sort of immediate impending danger or doom or harm to someone. It's not like he was saying, I'm going to kill my sister in, 3 minutes. He was saying his political, rants and raves against the government in a public forum. And this is completely protected speech. There was nothing there that could be construed of imminent danger. And nonetheless, the police and some sort of Secret Service agents, possibly FBI, also joined up and took him into custody to take him to a psychiatric evaluation. And this is scary. And what's scary about it is that there's this thing called civil commitment that many states have. And with civil commitment, the government can bring you into a psychiatric institution for potentially a good while, some places, 6 months plus. And what usually has to happen is that the judge finds by some sort of standard of like clear and convincing evidence, which is a little bit higher than preponderance of the evidence, higher than 50, so I don't know, like 60 something. Who knows? But right, less than beyond a reasonable doubt. So judge has to find this standard that he's like an immediate threat to somebody, that there's some sort of history, some factual basis why he is, or he or she, a person that's about to be detained, is a significant threat to society. And I am totally against any of this type of legislation or this type of system of dealing with people. Essentially, it's called pre-crime. This is the stuff that you see in dystopian fiction or, dystopian movies where the government comes in and takes you before you've actually even hurt anybody or done anything. And that's certainly not a voluntarist way of thinking either, because it's punishing people for things that are non-harms. There's no victim. It's just anticipatory, and it's not anything that, is a smacks of traditional self-defense, defending against an immediate threat of harm. Someone points a gun at you, someone is about to swing their fist at you, someone raises, a sword to you. This is, it's words, it's pure speech. And pure speech should not be treated as violence of a nature that deserves or merits being taken into police custody, and especially here without any due process. And we know that he didn't have any due process in the procedure because the judge who was dealing with the case, taken up by the Rutherford Institute, which is a good civil liberties firm, the judge said there was no facts on which to base this allegation on. It was just like a blank statement saying, "Oh, we think he's a threat," and that's really bad. If, the judge, is really stating the facts as they are, and this is the record, then that means this is a slam dunk civil lawsuit, pretty much, because you just violated thoroughly someone's Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure, without any due process and without any sort of factual allegation that could even amount to anything really that would normally excuse that type of behavior. Nothing for reasonable suspicion standard to stop someone in the street. Nothing. There is nothing there. It's just speech. And this is the stuff that the founding fathers of this country were engaged in quite often. Thomas Jefferson watering the tree of liberty with the blood of patriots and tyrants. I mean, the freaking people who founded this country killed people to found this country. So his comments, that is Brandon's comments, were quite tame to the actions of the people that founded this country. So taking a look at this, what's to learn for the future? Always videotape police. It's important to videotape what they're doing to anybody. Don't let them get away. 2, immediately, if something like this happens to you or someone that find a way to get help. If you're the person who's being detained, tell your friends or family, anybody there to, videotape and find an attorney immediately to try to see if they can get a habeas petition, which, habeas corpus means like, where's the body? You're trying to get a court to say, produce somebody, they're being falsely detained. In this case, that's what the Rutherford Institute did. But this is really like threshold stuff here. This is like, the stuff they talk about, in middle school when they say, oh, the Soviets and the Germans and what they did to silence dissidents. And that's what this is ultimately. And that's what the United States government's gearing up to do, is they're looking to put people into psychiatric institutions, potentially as a way to suppress dissidents. And if you notice in this case, the person they were suppressing was ex-military, and government has very special interest in making sure ex-military people don't speak out. Largely because they're the people that's actually seen combat and stuff like that, so they're usually better candidates to talk about what's going on. Could be more damaging to the U.S. government's missions and reputation. So that's probably one of my guesses as to why they focused in on him. As I think, based on this language, many people on Facebook would be guilty of what those officers thought he would was worthy of as far as civil commitment is concerned, and that's downright scary. Fortunately, the judge stopped it, and I think a lot of judges probably would stop things like this, but it's hard to do damage control after the fact. This happens in mass before it gets to a court. There's a serious problem. If this happens under the NDAA, that's a serious problem. People disappear and nobody even knows where to file where's the body petition. That's gonna be really scary. So everybody just needs to be aware of this. They need to, inform everybody about their rights. They need to be ready to film things, because this is just terrible. I mean, this is one of the worst things I've seen, on an individual level. Saying a very specific instance since the Hurricane Katrina gun raids. And if you don't know about that, NRA won that lawsuit. It took several years and a whole lot of mess. But basically, U.S. government through FEMA went door to door on people that weren't even really affected by Hurricane Katrina, and were disarming them, like literally putting them in cuffs and taking their guns out of their homes. And we're not talking about people that lived in the project. We're just saying like regular, middle class Americans. Their homes there's nothing wrong with their streets. They're not even flooded. The government's just going and taking guns. I mean, this is really bad. So you need to process what's going on here, and then also process the law and the legality of civil commitment. I argued this vehemently, when I did my law classes with dealing with sentencing and things like that. I mean, I am very against preventative detention. It's just a horrible thing. Some people are for it, and it is the most ripe for abuse thing you could possibly imagine. It is the perfect dissident suppressor. And if you look at the DSM-4, I said V, I meant to say DSM-4 because it's Roman numeral. The DSM, which is basically, the psychology reports that describe all different types of disorders. I mean, these days we have things as crazy as oppositional defiant disorder, and I got to see some of this when I was practicing in juvenile court. I mean, literally people that are asking questions and don't just accept authority because that's the way it is. You have a mental problem. I mean, this is hitting the line, and it's unfortunate that it has to be this way, but I mean, there's nothing left. I mean, the government is clearly preparing for economic turndown that's going to happen in 2013. We're going to see another 2007. There's going to be a lot of people who are protesting, and even if it doesn't get violent, it's been clear from the past that they've been willing to push things and put in their own agent provocateurs and set people up. I mean, police are as crazy. You can look this up in Florida. What was I going to say? Was it in Palm City? I'm not exactly sure what city it was, but Palm Beach County, I'm not sure. But they were doing Jump 21 undercover sting operations. In other words, they had 24-year-old female cops pretend to be high schoolers just so that they could try to bust high school kids on weed possession. And we're talking about people that, according to the stories that I've read on it, these kids weren't even doing drugs at the time. They weren't even interested. They literally bought it because they were so enticed at the chance for a relationship with these, fake students who are really undercover cops. I mean, it is insane. And this is it. I mean, it's hitting the wire right now, and people need to start waking up their neighbors, go to every person that, is at least somewhat interested for starters, you know what I mean, a little bit interested, tell them about it, and then move on to people that are just apathetic. You know what I mean? Right now I need to activate people's minds who are at least somewhat engaged and, you know, tell them what's going on, share the news stories, share the constitutional rights that they have, and explain how the government's actually violating this. Here's your rights. This is what they're doing. You know, people don't really make that connection. Like, they are detaining you literally on no basis, or have the ability to, if we're talking, you know, NDA plus Patriot Act and what's going on with that. So, hope that explains a little bit of it. Let's out some of my frustrations with what's going on, and I will talk to y'all later. If you like, have any comments, I'll try to answer the best I can, and I'll talk to you later.